ESPN. Here's a quick look at how ESPN views the Big Ten quarterback landscape in 2025. All right, I'm going to go through all of them and kind of give you a quick little rundown, and then Zach will get your thoughts. In Tier 1, they have Penn State's Drew Allar stands out as a consistent veteran poised for a peak season, potentially among the nation's elite, they said. In Tier 4, they have Ohio State's Julian Sayin, Michigan's Bryce Underwood, both unproven but carrying high expectations, with Michigan banking on Underwood to revive their offense after a tough 2024 season. Washington's Damon Williams Jr., also Tier 4, showed promise in limited action, especially against top defenses. In Tier 5, Oregon's Dante steps into the spotlight after backing up Dylan Gabriel, ready to lead with experience in the system. Tier 6 includes Nebraska's Dylan Raiola, who flashed potential as a freshman, and UCLA's Nico Iamaleava, who is seeking consistency. Tier 7, this is really where a lot of them are. It features Illinois' Luke Altmyer, Indiana's Fernando Mendoza, Michigan State's Aiden Childs, and USC's Jaden Maiava, who all have a chance after getting a year of play under their belt to take a step up. Tier 8, or 8A, they did this very weird, has Northwestern's Preston Stone, an SMU transfer looking for a fresh start. Iowa's Gronowski is Tier 9, South Dakota State transfer. They talk about him being like the move up from the FCS to the FBS. Tier 12 is Minnesota's Drake Lindsay, a wild card with minimal experience. In Tier 13, Rutgers' Athan Kaliakmanis improved last year, throwing 10 touchdown passes to 2. No, it wasn't. Oh, they quoted that for near the end of the season. And then Tier 15 is Maryland's Justin Martin, Malik Washington, and they also have Wisconsin Billy Edwards down there with Purdue's Ryan Brownie as well. Zach, your thoughts?
All right, can we just talk about first the top of this list? Because I agree that Drew Allar is he's the most proven and has a lot of NFL potential. But the top 5 that they have, the top of the class, I'll be honest, is not that impressive. Like, I think Cade Klubnik is a dude. I think John Mateer is going to be a dude. I think Drew Allar, but I think 3 other guys, Lenora Sellers, Drew Allar, and Garrett Nussmeier, they all have something to prove in my mind. Like, I think Drew Allar needs to have a good year. I think someone will pick him in the first round because he has the measurables, but like he still has things to prove. Lenora Sellers, I get that he has a lot of raw talent, but he also struggled a bunch against Illinois. And Garrett Nussmeier, I don't know, like he struggles against good defenses. Like I don't get this list. And then you look down, it's kind of laughable to me that you have the consistent moniker with Aiden Childs and Jaden Maiava. No offense to them, but they're not consistent. So like, what is ESPN watching?
I think they are hyping up Big 12 quarterbacks a lot. This is basically what I've seen from so many lists and stuff like this. Like, it's Big 12 quarterbacks galore, which I would think in 2025 we would learn our lesson about Big 12 quarterbacks. Like, Big 12 quarterbacks put up a lot of numbers and do very well, but they're a lot like ACC quarterbacks, right? Where they put up a lot of numbers, they do very well, but then when it really comes time for them to, display themselves for who they are, whether it be in the NFL or at a bigger school, they typically do not do all that well. Said typically, not all the time, but typically that happens. To me, like, I just think the Big Ten has so many quarterbacks in it who are going to be very good, but are unproven. And so people like ESPN are trying to take a measured stance at that with everybody except Arch Manning. Arch Manning is among the exceptions where they're just like, he's the best, whatever. And I get it. It's because of his name. But to me, I have no idea why people are looking at John Mateer as a top tier quarterback in college football and not Fernando Mendoza. Fernando Mendoza was playing tougher competition last year and played just as well, if not, maybe slightly worse, but I think he was just about the same as John Mateer last year, especially when you take into consideration the competition he was facing. Again, I know he was ACC, but still, John Mateer was like Mountain West. So ACC, a little bit better than Mountain West, in my opinion. And plus, John Mateer is going to an offensive system in Oklahoma that has not been good under Brent Venables. I know they just got rid of their offensive coordinator. They brought a new guy in. We'll see. But after, what's his name? Libby left, the offensive coordinator who is at Mississippi State now, like, it's not been good there at Oklahoma. So can we just stop the hype with this John Mateer for Oklahoma thing? Like, we've got him ranked above guys like Dylan Raiola and Nico Iamaleava, guys that actually played in tough conferences against tough competition. Luke Altmyer, Aiden Childs, Jaden Maiava finished the year playing at USC. Like, I get those guys didn't look as polished as John Mateer did, but guess what? If John Mateer played in those conferences against those defenses, I think he'd probably look about the same.
I think that's fair. That's a fair point about John Mateer. This is what drives me nuts, though, about what you just said. Luke Altmyer and Fernando Mendoza are in the same tier as Aiden Childs and Jaden Maiava. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, it's...
Luke Altmyer and Fernando Mendoza at the very least belong up in that Nebraska UCLA tier. Right. Yes. The second time's the charm type of thing. It's not really a second time's the charm for them, but you know, I don't know. Like, they still have experience too. So honestly, I'd put them up probably right above like Damon Williams and Bryce Underwood and Julian Sayin, and that's just because of their experience.
Yeah, and it's like, I think it's fine. I have less, maybe you have more of a problem with it. I have less problem with them ranking Altmyer and Mendoza slightly below Mateer. I don't have a problem with that. My problem is when you start clumping them with guys who are clearly not on the same level yet. That's mind-blowing, and it just reeks of we don't know what we're talking about. Which, if you're ESPN, that's a problem.
ESPN does this every year, though.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, they're going to hype up the Big 12 and the SEC and all that stuff. I don't even know why they hype up the Big 12. I know they have some games on ESPN Plus, but it's like, why are you hyping? Like, go hype up an ACC quarterback, but whatever. I think the Big 10 has a chance to have the best quarterback conference in the nation next year. And maybe that's a hot take, but I look at guys in this class that right now are really lowly rated that could really show out and display some things. Mark Gronowski could be very good next year. I'm a little concerned about the jump to FCS to FBS, but Tim Lester really proved some stuff last year with Caleb Johnson. I'm really interested to see what the passing game looks like as he gets a more competent passer and somebody that has legs and is able to move, unlike Cade McNamara, who's just a statue. I'm excited to see what Drake Lindsey does. Drake Lindsey is a big body, big arm type of guy. He doesn't have much experience yet, but he's going to develop as the year goes on. And PJ Fleck does a pretty good job with his quarterbacks, especially putting them in a system where they can succeed. He's not going to put too much on Drake Lindsey's plate. Athan Kaliakmanis, his third year starting. We'll see what he is. Maryland has Malik Washington, who I think is going to be the starter, and I think he's going to be dynamic. I don't think he's going to be Bryce Underwood or Julian Sayin or Damon Williams. A lot of that's kind of because of the team he plays for, but I think he's going to be dynamic. He's going to be fun to watch. And then I don't like Sumi. I don't think Billy Edwards is that bad. I think Billy Edwards had a hard time last year because he didn't have an offensive line. I think it's really, really hard for a quarterback to display who they are when they don't have a consistent offensive line in front of them blocking anybody. And Billy Edwards, I mean, it was basically throw the ball up to Ty Felton when I have three guys in my face. And lucky for him, Ty Felton was really good. So it worked out most of the time. But I mean, I know we're talking mostly about the top of the conference, but even the bottom that they have here, like I could see half, if not more of those guys entering into some of the top conversations next year. Am I crazy?
No. I mean, you're talking about possibly Billy Edwards being one of the weakest quarterbacks in the league, which is saying something. Because I agree with you.
And I'm not saying he has to be spectacular. I'm just saying consistent. Like, just be consistent, Billy Edwards.
Yeah, and I think he can be with a better offensive line. And that is one thing Wisconsin has, is they are a good pass blocking offensive line. Purdue, I think Purdue quarterback is probably going to be the roughest situation. But, you mentioned Kaliakmanis. We had Larry Crane on the show earlier this month, and I think the passing game for Rutgers is going to be more dynamic than people realize, with DT Sheffield coming in and the young receivers that they have there. And I think there's a lot of teams that are going to need to score. And then you look at Raiola and Iamaleava, at Nebraska and UCLA, I have not been super high on Iamaleava, but he certainly has potential. Like certainly is
I mean,
all
he's like Drew Allar, man. He's got the
yeah.
body, he's got the arm. Like he has arm talent. He just has to put it all together. And it was his first year starting last year, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of guys talking in the chat about Drew Aller, and I think the elephant in the room that I'll just address, and then I don't know if you have another comment, JR, but Drew has real limitations in the mental aspect of the game. Like he has real limitations. Thankfully, because they're mental, he can get past them. But I think the problem with this list too, and I think it's the problem with honestly all of their quarterbacks except maybe Cade Klubnik, is that I don't think there's a quarterback on this list that is either proven or has proven that they're elite.
I would say Drew Allar has proven arm talent.
Yes. And
He just has
that's
to put it
absolutely
mentally together. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I do have comments, but we'll go to the chat and get some comments there just because the chat's very lively tonight. We appreciate you all. So I want to give you guys your opportunity for us to react to what you have to say. All right, where was the comment? Okay. Penn State guy, if you listen to me and him do our podcast that one time, you've heard this opinion, but if not, we'll kind of rehash it a little bit. Drew hesitates when he has wide receivers open downfield. People assume they are not open. Yeah, this is what we talked about a little bit about with Drew, right? He has the arm to get it there. Watch that Boise State game. There were throws he made that not not many quarterbacks in college football can make. And not just in that Boise State game, there were other times throughout the year too. Go back and watch the USC game. He had a fantastic throw against Ohio State that bounced off the wide receiver's hands and fell right into Davis Igbinosun, the Ohio State cornerback's lap, pretty much. Now it's good coverage by Davis Igbinosun. I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but it was a bang bang play where he came up with the ball, and it made Drew Allar look worse than I felt like he actually did, at least in that one scenario. So the biggest thing with Drew Allar is he has to stop telegraphing things. He was more willing to throw the ball downfield last year, but he almost like did it before the snap. Like he almost decided it before the snap sometimes, which it's good to read the defense, but at the same time, you have to react to what the defense is doing in the moment. I look back at that Oregon game when they got the ball back and they were down by one score, and very first play he threw the ball up on the sideline, and the safety looked like he was cheating up for the run, and then he bailed out of it, came out and picked the ball off, and it happens. But I believe in Andy Kotelnicki, and I think he's gonna help get him right. So James Wilson says Penn State, Washington, Michigan, Indiana, Oregon, and Ohio State are all going to have QBs that are going to be better than the top of SEC or Big 12 QBs. That would not surprise me at all, James. I don't know if it's going to happen with all of them. That's some really spectacular QB play we have in the Big Ten, but certainly most of them. I think that will happen with. I don't know what QBs the SEC has that I'm like truly afraid of. I'm still waiting to see what happens with Arch Manning. Again, John Mateer, he could be very good, but I'm not crowning him as anything spectacular yet. Am I missing like Lenora Sellers? You talked about he's just Jalen Milroe to me. I mean, call me stupid, I guess, but he's just Jalen Milroe, and he doesn't have any receivers. He has no receivers. Everybody thinks Lenora Sellers is going to throw the ball over the field. He's got no receivers. You give me Jalen Milroe with no receivers? That's a bad combo.
Yeah, I don't think I just don't think any of these guys are like I think they're good. But I think if you're talking elite, the only one I see, and it's neither in the SEC or the Big 12, is I think Cade Klubnik, and I think Cade Klubnik has the receivers. I get the DJ Lagway. DJ Lagway, by the way, was not mentioned in the top. Too small sample size at this point.
Too small sample size and missed all of spring with an injury.
Yeah,
So
he could be. I do think though DJ Lagway is the one where I'm like, could be the top guy.
Yeah, he could be excellent. I'm not trying to say he can't be excellent. I'm just saying like I didn't see enough last season to be like, let's crown him, one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. Could be, but it was also limited sample size. And Philip says Nussmeier. Nussmeier has a really good arm, but he threw a lot of picks last season. I forget exactly what the number was, but If I remember right, he threw a lot of picks last
I
year.
I will say this: Nussmeier has this
12
going against
interceptions.
him.
Yeah, 12
He has this
interceptions.
going against him too. He plays for Brian Kelly.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Athan Kaliakmanis last season had 7 interceptions. People want to dog Athan Kaliakmanis for, not being very good, turning the ball over and inaccurate and stuff like that. And he didn't have a great completion percentage. It was 54%. But yeah, I mean, Nussmeier had 12. Athan Kaliakmanis had 7. So, I get it. Like
Yeah.
Athan Kaliakmanis, I'm not trying to say he's like a top tier quarterback. But hey, our guy HJG says Athan Kaliakmanis breakout to middle of the pack. Let's see it. Let's see it. Let's see him break out. He could be at least middle of the pack, I think, next year.